playlist on our YouTube channel.
The time by Kari Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The business news headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible.
Tonight, a nation is rebuilding 3 days after Hurricane Melissa's historic strike. Hello and welcome to CBX Business News for Friday, October 31, 2025. I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, we take a closer look at Jamaica's recovery efforts after Hurricane Melissa, with fuel deliveries, flight operations, and network repairs taking center stage. Early estimates suggest the storm's economic toll could top $10 billion, but business leaders say Jamaica's resilience will shine through. We'll explore how. On the tech front, Amber Group's new relief platform is already being targeted by online scammers, and the Tourism Ministry targets a full industry restart by December 15. We'll have these stories and more, including what's making business news across the region and around the world, when we return.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't never, ever, ever wanna calm down. No, no, no. Yeah,
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited has been a part of Jamaica's manufacturing landscape for over 20 years. By crafting unique flavors and fragrances, we have become a part of your favorite household and food items such as beverages, ice cream, household cleaners, and much more. Known throughout the Caribbean for the highest quality, we continue to innovate with strong leadership, a dedicated team with integrity. We go the extra mile for our customers. Create the next taste sensation. Contact us at 876-9235-111 or visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages.
Are so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited has been a part of Jamaica's manufacturing landscape for over 20 years. By crafting unique flavors and fragrances, we have become a part of your favorite household and food items such as beverages, ice cream, household cleaners, and much more. Known throughout the Caribbean for the highest quality, we continue to innovate with strong leadership, a dedicated team with integrity. We go the extra mile for our customers. Create the next taste sensation. Contact us at 876-9235-111 or visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't never, ever, ever wanna calm down. No, no, no. Yeah, yeah.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with the latest on Jamaica's national recovery efforts following Hurricane Melissa. Energy, Transport and Telecommunications Minister Daryl Vaz says the government is moving swiftly to reopen key corridors and restore essential services. He says the effort falls under the newly formed Relief and Recovery Oversight Committee, which he co-chairs with Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie. Speaking during a press conference earlier today, Minister Vaz says priority is being given to getting fuel tankers and LPG supplies into the western parishes, where several gas stations remain low or out of stock.
Loading of tankers for island-wide delivery began at 6 a.m. today, ensuring that fuel distribution continues uninterrupted. I have a call with the marketing companies and all the fuel suppliers at 11:30 this morning to indicate to them and to coordinate with them through the National Works Agency and, most importantly, the police to allow to get these trailers or tankers into the western part of the island to fuel the gas stations, which are in some cases low and out of fuel. That will also go for alternative sources of fuel and LPG and whatever is required to keep the operations and the citizenry of these areas going.
On connectivity, the minister confirmed that both Flow and Digicel sustained significant damage to their networks.
Flow and Digicel, as we know, they sustained major damage to their infrastructure, and we are looking at about Flow, 40% of its network is active. That's mostly in the corporate area, St. Thomas, Trelawney, and St. Andrew. And initial recovery is focused on urban centers outside the storm's direct impact zone, with phased restoration in less impacted areas. Mobile connectivity is currently at 22%. 100,000 customers are utilizing Flow emergency services, with Starlink in areas where both networks are down. 31% of Digicel's mobile customers is online, with 24% of their sites running on generators. There was 69% of its fixed business customers, and half of the home internet users are now connected, with service gradually increases as commercial power returns.
That was Energy, Transport and Telecommunications Minister Daryl Vaz. We move to a staggering report on the economic toll left in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. Preliminary assessments indicate that Jamaica's total losses could exceed US $10 billion, amounting to more than 20% of the country's GDP. The destruction is widespread. Agriculture, tourism, and infrastructure have suffered major damage, with ripple effects expected across all sectors. In an interview with CBX News earlier today, local economist Keenan Faulkner warns that reconstruction will stretch over several budget cycles.
The economic fallout from Hurricane Melissa is expected to be significant across all sectors, particularly in agriculture. Preliminary estimates suggest that total damages could exceed $10 billion and be well over 20% of GDP. With the expected reduction in GDP, our debt to GDP ratio will rise, further crowding out fiscal space. Jamaica's reconstruction will have to be accommodated over several budget cycles, and our fiscal profile will need to be readjusted gradually over the next few years in order to fully rebuild.
However, he says a sharp spike is not expected in government borrowing.
I don't expect that the government's borrowing requirements will increase significantly in response to the crisis, and I expect that there will be greater mobilization of other sources of funding and international support. Inflationary pressures will be on the horizon as demand picks up heading into the Christmas season. Prices are expected to be elevated for a prolonged period before stabilizing as diminished supplies recover. Private sector investment will also be crucial in the longer-term reconstruction effort. The government may have to reprise its approach during the COVID-19 pandemic by subsidizing essential items for recovery and giving targeted support for a defined period while waiving other business requirements and obligations in the interim.
That was local economist Keenan Faulkner. Meanwhile, the private sector organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, is leading a coordinated national response as the country begins to recover from the catastrophic impact of Hurricane Melissa. PSOJ President Metri Siaga told CBX News that the immediate priority is relief, restoring electricity, water and communication, and ensuring displaced families have shelter.
The clear picture is that the southwest part of Jamaica got decimated by Hurricane Melissa. Truth is that most other areas and the main town center of Kingston and some of Montego Bay were spared the worst of it. We have no idea on lives lost, and we don't have any idea on the monetary damage that has been done. But there has been significant disruptions in that part of the island. Right now, our focus is on getting people out of the misery of no light, no water, no telephone, trying to find people that don't have any shelter. These are the things that we need to make sure of now. That is our main function. And getting the rest of Jamaica that can get back to business, is a critical component.
On the financial front, Siaga expressed cautious optimism that insurance payouts and Jamaica's catastrophe bond coverage will provide some relief.
We are confident that insurance and the bond will be a help. Will it be enough? No, I don't think so. I think that what will be enough is the kind-heartedness of international donors and Jamaicans living abroad. That's where I think we're going to get the most help from, and looking forward to it. The PSOJ would like to say to local and overseas investors that Jamaica is going to surprise you how fast we recover. We're a resilient people. We did it after Gilbert in '88, and we're going to do it again and show the world that when we come together, nobody is as good as us.
That was PSOJ President Metri Siaga. Amber Group's 29-hour sprint to build the government's supportjamaica.gov.jm disaster relief platform has taken a troubling turn. The system, launched to coordinate donations, relief pledges, and shelter information after Hurricane Melissa, is now being mimicked by fake websites attempting to defraud donors. The Jamaica Cyber Incident Response Team has flagged at least 28 bogus domains designed to look like the official site. Authorities stress that the only legitimate platform ends with .gov.jm. That's .gov.jm. The government is warning the public not to enter personal or financial information on suspicious pages, urging anyone who encounters them to report the sites immediately. Officials say efforts are underway to shut down the fraudulent domains and protect the integrity of Jamaica's official relief operations. In other news, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett has set December 15 as the target date for Jamaica's full tourism recovery following Hurricane Melissa. A Hurricane Melissa Recovery Task Force and a Tourism Resilience Coordination Committee, Tourism Cares, have been activated to drive the restart. The task force, chaired by John Biles of Chukka Caribbean Adventures, will focus on rapid assessments, repairs, and service readiness across resorts, attractions, and ports. Tourism Cares, led by Jessica Shannon of Sandals Resorts International, will coordinate relief and recovery support, mobilizing funds, supplies, and volunteers for affected workers, MSMEs, and communities. We go now to updates from the Bank of Jamaica on how the currency markets traded today. In Friday's currency trading session, the US dollar is selling for $161.47, the Canadian for $117.33, the pound sterling for $214, and the going rate for the euro is $191.12. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Friday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 107 stocks, of which 37 advanced, 47 declined, and 23 traded firm. Leading the winners are One Great Studio Company, First Rock Real Estate Investments, Access Financial Services, and Innovative Energy Group, while leading the losers are the Limnas and Bards, KLE Group, A.S. Bryden and Sons Holdings, and Pulse Investments. The main index declined by 1,021.05 points or 0.32% to close at 322,820.75 points. The junior market index declined by 13.04 points or 0.38% to close at 3,434.88 points.
And it's time for Market Education Feature, brought to you by Carrie Chris, Regional Ratings, Global Standard.
In today's Market Education Feature, we're taking a look at the catastrophe bond. Catastrophe bonds, or CAT bonds, are financial instruments that allow insurance companies to transfer the risk of major disasters such as hurricanes, floods, or earthquakes to investors. In exchange for potentially higher returns, investors take on part of the disaster risk. These high-yield bonds help insurers raise capital to pay claims after catastrophic events, reducing the financial strain on traditional insurance systems. As climate change drives more frequent and severe weather, CAT bonds have become increasingly important for maintaining stability in insurance and capital markets. In essence, CAT bonds spread the financial impact of disasters more broadly, turning global investors into partners in resilience.
The Market Education Feature was brought to you by Carrie Chris, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next.
The local news is brought to you by Derriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. Haiti's farm economy has been dealt a devastating blow by Storm Melissa, which swept across the country's southern departments this week, destroying crops and infrastructure critical to rural livelihoods. Humanitarian coordinator ad interim for Haiti, Gregoire Goodstein, told the United Nations earlier today that preliminary reports show widespread losses in banana plantations, fruit orchards, and food crops, leaving thousands of small farmers facing ruin.
There's been significant agricultural losses in many departments, including banana plantations, fruit trees that were destroyed, food crops that have been destroyed, saturated soils, and of course access is a big issue.
That was UN Humanitarian Coordinator ad interim for Haiti, Gregoire Goodstein. Meanwhile, Cuba's economy is facing one of its toughest tests in recent years, following the devastating passage of Hurricane Melissa, now ranked among the most powerful storms ever recorded in the country. Early assessments point to extensive losses in housing, agriculture, and public infrastructure, with damage compounded by long-standing fuel shortages and power outages that have left businesses struggling to operate. According to UN Resident Coordinator for Cuba, Francisco Pichon, more than 3 million people were evacuated, and several municipalities already burdened by last year's Hurricane Oscar are now facing severe economic disruption.
The preliminary assessments of the impacts of the storm, more than 3 million people were exposed to these life-threatening conditions. About 32 municipalities in 4 provinces of the eastern part of Cuba, and this includes the second and the fourth largest city in the country, Santiago de Cuba and Holguin.
That was UN Resident Coordinator for Cuba, Francisco Pichon. In other news, Bermuda has officially been given the all clear following Hurricane Melissa, with public transport, ferry services, and clinics now returning to operation as the island moves swiftly towards full normalcy. Minister of National Security Michael Weeks confirmed that the all-clear was issued at 12 p.m. today, noting that more than 75% of services have been restored and cleanup operations are well underway. Public Works reports that most major roads are open, allowing the Department of Public Transportation to resume bus operations island-wide. Ferry services are also expected to restart later today once final safety checks are complete.
The causeway is back open for traffic. Lamb Fogo Clinic has stood down as of 11 a.m. today. The shelter has stood down as of 11 a.m. today. Public Works has done an assessment, and their preliminary assessment is that most of our main roads are open for traffic, so it will be safe to traverse. Transportation, the DPT, has said that they will have an all clear for the buses by 12 p.m. today. The ferries hopefully will be back up and running this afternoon. We don't have an exact time yet, but we are looking to have it up and running by this afternoon.
That was Bermuda's Minister of National Security, Michael Weeks. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 19 securities, of which 4 advanced, 9 declined, and 6 traded firm. Today's winners are Angostura Holdings, Guardian Holdings, Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago, and CIBC Caribbean Bank. While leading the losers are the West Indian Tobacco Company, NCB Financial Group, National Flour Mills, and National Enterprises. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All TNT Index declined by 4.66 points to close at 1,385.48. The Composite Index declined by 4.04 points to close at 955.90. The Cross-Listed Index declined by 0.48 points to close at 69.42. The SME Index remained at 97.70. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment.
Has so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
Welcome back. In international news, Deputy Managing Director at the International Monetary Fund and Jamaica's former Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, says while Jamaica is financially well prepared to manage the fallout from Hurricane Melissa, the fund stands ready to assist if needed. He echoed sentiments from IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva, who extended sympathy to affected Caribbean nations, affirming that the fund stands ready to help as countries begin the path to recovery after this tragic event. Back in Kingston, Jamaica's Finance Minister Favour Williams outlined Jamaica's financial buffers, describing the country's layered disaster risk financing system as one of the strongest in the region. She explained that Jamaican $5.3 billion can be drawn immediately from the contingency fund, with an additional Jamaican $1 billion available under the National Disaster Reserve Fund, pending certain conditions. Williams added that Jamaica maintains 2 Caribbean catastrophe risk insurance facility policies valued at US $91.6 million for tropical cyclone coverage and US $37.3 million for excess rainfall, along with a US $150 million World Bank catastrophe bond, which could be triggered depending on the storm's measured impact. And while the IMF and Jamaica's fiscal authorities highlight the country's readiness, the World Bank Group has moved swiftly to put substantial recovery financing in motion. The World Bank Group has activated a comprehensive support package for Jamaica, designed to help the island recover from widespread devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa. In a statement, the bank confirmed that it is working with the government of Jamaica and the Inter-American Development Bank to conduct a rapid post-disaster damage assessment, a critical step to inform both immediate relief measures and long-term reconstruction planning. The bank says the assistance is multi-layered, combining quick disbursing emergency funds, technical assistance, and the potential payout from Jamaica's World Bank-issued catastrophe bond, a financial instrument that automatically triggers following extreme weather events. Economists note that Jamaica's robust disaster risk financing system, developed in partnership with multilateral institutions, positions it among the most climate-resilient economies in the Caribbean. They estimate that once triggered, the pre-arranged instruments could inject hundreds of millions of US dollars in liquidity, ensuring a faster and more coordinated recovery. And as multilateral lenders mobilize financing, bilateral partners are also stepping up among them. The United Kingdom, which has doubled its humanitarian contribution to the region. The United Kingdom has expanded its humanitarian response following Hurricane Melissa, with an additional £2.5 million in emergency support, bringing total British aid to £5 million. The funds, managed through the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office (FCDO), will provide shelter kits, solar lamps, water filters, and sanitation supplies for communities hardest hit in Jamaica, Haiti, and eastern Cuba. A portion of the funds will be channeled through the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, directly supporting Jamaica's national relief efforts. British Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper said the expanded package reflects the growing scale of the crisis across the Caribbean and underscores London's continued partnership with the region in times of crisis. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
We get it! We get the big contract! 50,000 units a month for 3 years! Great! Oh, need help!
If you are a business owner that requires capital for the expansion of your business, talk to a registered broker today to find out more about listing your company on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, an efficient alternative to other financing options.
Thank God for the Jamaica Stock Exchange junior market.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
And now to recap our top stories. In the local news, Hurricane Melissa's economic blow could top US $10 billion, says economist. Regionally, Haiti's agricultural industry reels from Hurricane Melissa losses. And internationally, UK announces £5 million aid boost for Hurricane Melissa recovery. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.
Hi, I am Derek Rajak, CEO of regional rating agency CBX.